Good morning to all the students of Political Science class 12th once again here. So as we were into the 5th chapter of our book Contemporary South Asia, and we had finished our 6 parts already, in which we had discussed about all the neighboring countries of India and what are the political systems in this region of South Asia. But today we will be studying this is under this part 7. We shall be studying peace and cooperation. So whenever there is a group of country or separate region like ASEAN we have studied, okay, so this is also a separate region, South Asia, in which there are 8 countries. Initially there were 7, and I told you in 2014 Afghanistan also merged with this particular association. So here we will be studying about peace and cooperation. So this association tried to maintain and establish peace and cooperation through an association or an organization which was name was SAARC. So we shall be studying about what was SAARC, that is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, and in short we call it SAARC, SAARC. This is a regional cooperation association to bring peace and cooperation among the member of this association. So we will be studying what are the elements of this particular association and what were its limitation. Was it a successful like EU, European Union, or what were the differences between these countries which could not lead to its successful outcome? So before I start the topic and I tell you the different points regarding what is SAARC, okay, as you know, its full form, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. That regional cooperation means which region? South Asian region, and they wanted to cooperate and bring peace and decorum to this particular region. And for this harmony, these 8 countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. These are the 8 members of this particular association, SAARC, and this is the logo of SAARC. So now I shall be moving forward. You should remember the name of these 8 countries, and these are the flags of these countries. This is the logo of SAARC. So I'm starting the points here now. So I already read this point. So again, starting here, first point is how to bring peace and cooperation to these South Asian nations. So they made the association, they formed a group, and this group was South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. SAARC is a regional initiative. They had taken the initiative to bring peace and harmony to this area among South Asian states to evolve cooperation so it was established in 1985. Remember this date, SAARC was established in 1985, okay. And second is, it consists of 7 members. I told you there were 7 members in the starting when this association was started, and that is in 1985. But in 2014, Afghanistan also made this number into 8 members now, to encourage mutual harmony and understanding. So these 8 countries grouped together to cooperate with each other for the mutual harmony and to bring peace to this particular region of South Asia. And the third part is SAARC has initiated SAFTA. So along with the cooperation, they will have to improve their economy to become stronger and have the influence all over the world like EU, European Union had done. They had to grow their economy and their political system, and they had to cooperate amongst each other. So they started a system, initiated SAFTA. What was SAFTA? Full form of SAFTA is South Asian Free Trade Agreement. Free trade, with its name you can understand, there was free trade agreement among these countries. That is, anyone could from one border to other border could go and trade. There was a common market to bring good economy to the members of this country. That is why it's written here, to free trade zones for whole South Asia for collective economic security, to grow their economy, to provide security to their members so that they should not be dependent on the other powers outside South Asia. They started this initiation, that is SAFTA, to improve their trade and economy. SAFTA was signed. So SAFTA was signed in 2004. Remember this date. First time it was signed between these 8 countries in 2004 with an idea to promote peace and cooperation. And what was the idea between bringing this initiation of SAFTA? Economy was the fact that they wanted to have a good trade amongst themselves, but along with that, when they started trade amongst each other, it will bring peace also and cooperation also. Like if we start trade and business with someone, we will also have a good relation with them when we come in contact with them through trade. So because of SAFTA, they also wanted to promote peace and cooperation in South Asia with the help of free trade across the border. So there was a free trade across the border, which could also, along with the good economy, they were also promoting peace and cooperation. SAARC has projected an economic development of its member state to reduce their dependency. I have already told you in the upper point also. SAARC took initiative of establishing SAFTA because it wanted that the member of South Asian countries should not be dependent on the outside power for its economic development. So these 8 nations wanted to trade and share of natural resources amongst each other and help and support to grow together as a South Asian countries. So we can say these were the initiative taken by the South Asia, the SARS countries to promote peace and cooperation in their country. Like through SAFTA also, they had tried to promote peace and cooperation amongst themselves and to reduce their dependencies on the outside power. But they were not as successful as we have studied about European Union in chapter 4. I think we had studied about alternative centers of power. Why it was called alternative centers of power? Because it was very successful as a organization in terms of economy, military, cooperation, peace, trade, everything. But here, this SAARC association could not be as successful as EU because of some limitation or constraints, we can say. So what were those limitations which stopped SAARC from becoming a important alternative centers of power like European Union or US, or we studied about Chinese economy, which are the challenges to US dominance nowadays? But why SAARC could not be as powerful as the others alternative powers? So what were the limitations? So I shall be taking the limitations here. The first one is, due to political differences and conflicts, SARS could not be a success. So if we talk about these group of 8 countries, why it is not a success in today's time like EU? Because there are political differences. In some countries there was democracy, there were different phases of military rule, sometimes there were monarchy or the king's rule. So because of the difference of political system in these member countries of South Asia and conflicts, border conflicts or the other ethnic conflicts between them related to trade, SARS could not be a success till date. Next is, Sars Summit led to the bilateral issue of Kashmir problem between India and Pakistan. And whenever there was a meeting of these SAARC countries, which is called SAARC Summit, it was also not, there were no positive outcome of the meetings of SAARC, as 8 members were participating in it. So equal importance would have given to all the members. But most of the time in such summits, India and Pakistan came into conflicts because of the region of Kashmir. So they started tension and conflicts amongst each other in this particular meeting of SARS. So there was no mutual understanding amongst these members of SAARC countries, and so there was never a positive outcome from the SAARC summit. So it was not a success. And moving forward to the third point of the limitations of SAARC, this is the most important, I would say. Some of the Indian neighbors fear that Indian intend to dominate them by influencing their society and politics. As in the previous this part also, in part 6 also, I told you, as India is centrally located, so most of the conflicts and tensions of the other neighboring countries are with India. Neighboring countries means all the members of South Asian group, that is SAARC. So they think, most of them, that India dominates them by influencing. India is interfering in their societies and political system. As we know, India is, if we talk in terms of military, economy and other growth, India is a developing country and has a good economy and technological gap between these member states. Others are, some of them are underdeveloped countries or some are still developing, but India is in the upper level of developing countries. It has an influence in the world arena in terms of its growing economy and potential and capacity to be a superpower. But that is why few of the countries think that it dominates and controls the other members of this region. For example, why? In 1971, we saw when East Pakistan took the help of India, and India had a war against Pakistan in 1971, and there was the freedom of Bangladesh, independence of East Pakistan, which was called Bangladesh. So here also some of the member states of South Asia thought that India interferes in the internal matters of other member countries or the neighboring countries. Then in Sri Lanka in 1987, as we know, again there was a civil wars or the conflict between the Tamils and the Sinhalas in Sri Lanka, but again India sent its Indian peacekeeping force from India to Sri Lanka. Here also Sri Lanka thought that India is interfering in their internal matters. Then in Maldives there was an attack from Sri Lankan Tamils. They wanted to invade Maldives, but Indian Air Forces and Navy interfered and stopped the invasion of Maldives in 1988. So these are few of the examples where Indian neighbors or the members of South Asian region or SAARC think that India always tries and dominates other countries because it is much powerful than the other countries neighboring it. And the next point, fourth, when talking about the limitation, is SARS members are from among the developing or the least developing countries. So if you talk about these members, all of these countries are, some are developing and most of them are least developing countries which are very small. They have small economy and most of them are, we can say, also dependent of India. India supports them as India knows the importance of the relationship with its neighbor. If we talk about ourselves, we need to have a very good relation with our neighbors if we need to live in the society and have a good lifestyle. In the same way, if India want to have an influence all over the world in terms of economy, military, soft power or structural power or hard power, so India needs to have a, first of all, good relation with all the member countries nearing by it. So India always try to support these countries, but some of them think that India tries to dominate them. But here talking about SAARC members, some of them are developing and least developing countries. This creates insufficient of funds. That is, there is a very low economy, there are low funds, and to promote different policies and plans to grow and have the influence all over the world, we need to have good funds. But in the members of these SAARC 8 countries, there is a lot of shortage of funds, which is we can say limitation to the growing power of SAARC, we can say. So these were few of the limitations that why SAARC has not been so successful like EU. So here in the next point I shall be telling you few points. You already know this, we had already done this chapter already, Centers of Power, chapter number 4, but I'm just telling you that what is the difference between SAARC and EU and why EU is so important, so powerful, and why it has so much of influence all over the world today, and why SAARC is still struggling to have its influence over its region and other parts of the world. So as we know, alternative center of power, it was called because European Union had its economic and military growth. Okay, it was established in 1992. This date is important here. Influence of EU as a power, common currency. Why there is so much influence of EU? What were the reasons it became so powerful? Because all the members of EU, all the countries there, they share the common currency. Okay, as I told you, the euro. Then they have the common flag. All the countries of European Union, they have a common country flag. They have a founding date. They have a common anthem. Well-developed countries are there. And the members of EU are well-developed countries which are also the member of United Nations. They have the permanent members of United Nations Security Council, Britain and France, and many important other nations of Europe. In terms of India, if we say, we share different political system, we don't have common currency, we have different flags, we have different founding dates, or we can say independence period is different, we have different national anthems, and we are not developed. Few are developing countries and few are underdeveloped countries. So these are the drawbacks, we can say, if we talk about SAARC, and these are some positive impact to EU, that they are having a good and cooperative relationship amongst themselves. Okay, so here talking of SAARC, countries have internal conflicts. So first of all, what is the drawback? Why we are not able to have a good, strong association till date? We have internal conflicts, tensions amongst each other, boundary issues, okay, different ideologies. So from we have seen the different phases of military rule, monarchy system, and democracy. How it was very difficult to bring democracies in so many members of Asia, South Asian countries. We had studied in the previous parts that in detail. Developing, most of our developing and underdeveloped nations, Okay, these are cons. So we can say these are the constraints on the growth of SAARC. SAARC is not able to grow as strong as EU because of these constraints or limitations. These are the constraints and limitations which are like a barrier in front of SAARC. But with cooperation, but it does not mean that SAARC can't be a influential or a strong association in future. If we have a good cooperation and understanding amongst each other, like the 8 members start cooperating with each other and form a good group, we can also be a influential around the world in coming future. That's why I have written here, there are constraints on growth of SAARC, but with cooperation in future, if we try to cooperate in future and solving the problem and areas of conflict and tensions among each other and focus on the economic development and growing our relationship with the outside world to grow our economy and in term making our technology even better, we can be a good association and influence the whole world towards Earth. We can gain the attention of the world powers towards this area of South Asia. Okay, so this was the peace and cooperation studying about SAARC. So you need to copy down these notes properly. And this was the last part of the 5th chapter, and I shall be giving you the assignments based on these topics again. Till then you need to study the notes properly and keep doing your assignments on time, please. And next part I shall be starting the next chapter soon. Thank you.